not a problem, but one thing we have, or anyone has with young horses, is when their teeth come out. You know, obviously they change their baby teeth. Well, everybody knows, well, I presume most people know anyway, that when you look at their front teeth, you can tell their age by when they start putting their permanent teeth in. So, but also they lose their back teeth, their molars, and that is with young horses, it's not a problem. But obviously, if they're not going to be comfortable. They're like a child. There's teething, you know, their teeth come through, and then when they're older, young children, they lose their teeth and their permanent teeth start to come in. For that time, there's a certain amount. It's a natural process, but it's fine. But that doesn't mean to say that it's void of any discomfort. Of course it is. They've got discomfort. So what we do on a regular basis is you can normally tell, you know, just with experience, when you're driving a pony, horse, that there's something's not quite right. You've got to be able to feel it. You know, if you do as, come up, if you do as much, you know, as we do here, like sit behind them as many miles, obviously you're going to pick up on it, you know. And if you're interested, you know, anyone will learn if they're interested in a subject. So, like, this is a little youngster here. Now this one's just lost a pre-molar cap. Yeah, so the first tooth, the triangular one on the molars, the first one, just come off. Sorry to keep stopping, but I'm just concentrating for a minute. There's little dogs run out in there. Not that he's concerned about the little dogs, but I just want to make sure the side gate was shut. The other day it was open, just in case a little dog actually come out on the road. That's what I was looking at. Yeah, so on Thursday it came out, and I've kept the tooth. Come up, baby. So, to show the owners. So that day we was going to take it. So he had his harness on, he had everything, and he just stood outside waiting to have the cart, you know, waiting to be put to, and he was jiggling about with the bit in his mouth. That's the beautiful thing about rubber bits. I mean, it's so, I know I keep on about me rubber bits, but the proof of the pudding's in the eating, isn't it? I mean, obviously. So, come on, baby. Steady, just walk now, bro. Just walk, steady, steady. Good boy. Just walk. So, as I say, it come out. So I thought, what do we do now? Just do we take him out or not? So I just opened his mouth, had a little look, and it's going to feel different, isn't it? Because he had a tooth there and he didn't have a tooth there, and the tooth's quite big. We'll show you in a minute the tooth. Bigger than you think it would be, or most. If you've never seen one, they're quite big. And this one's the smallest one, which is the premolar because of the shape of it. So we just went up, you know, the road, and we got out the yard, and I suppose 100 yards, and then decided, no, we'll come back in and give him a, you know, just give him a day to get, well, not over it, it's a perfectly natural thing to happen, but come up, man. All right, lads. How many miles?
Well, we got a long one, so 130 it'll be for us today.
Bloody Jesus. Boy. Obviously, most of the horses we have are young, although we do all ages, but the, you know, we done one like a point-to-pointer at 17, and the lady couldn't ride anymore. She was getting on in years, so we done him to drive him, and she was still driving him. Last time I spoke to her, he was 20 odd, and she was still driving him about all over the place. And obviously for the horse it was a lot easier. He was carrying no weight, and all he was doing really was using his body weight to take the vehicle forward. He had a light two-wheeler, an old vehicle, but a nice one. So walk up, my baby. So this particular pony, a couple of days ago lost a tooth, a premolar. So we didn't take him out that day, although he was just ready to go out, and he lost it just as we was, ready to go out. So we just let him have a day off, but he carried on eating straight away. Sometimes it all depends how it leaves their mouth. I'll show you when we get back, and it's very, very good to find them. Now, most people don't find their teeth. We find lots, because they'll obviously maybe leave them in their manger. Yeah. A lot of the time they'll put their head down in the stable, and it will come out amongst the bedding and the droppings, and you don't find it. But obviously, your chippings being white or even straw, if you bed on that, it's very hard to see. They're not very big, and they're picked up and gone. And I have seen on numerous occasions actually pass completely through them. So you'll have a look at the droppings. See, we always do look at the droppings of horses, and that's why we never turn them out. When they're here, they're in the whole time. And people say, oh, surely they get all the exercise they want, obviously, in the training. And probably get more as time goes on, they get fitter and fitter, do more miles. But if you have them out, you have no idea of their water intake, what their pee looks like, you have no idea. And what their poo looks like, you've got no idea. How could you go into a field and it's dried out, or it's raining, or whatever? So you want to see that it's shiny, come up, baby, and it's as it should be, like in pieces, not sloppy, not tight, not small, not dry, carrying enough moisture and everything like that. Well, you know that when you muck them out. But also what you can do is you can look at it and just rake through, and you can see if you suspect worms or anything. Obviously you can find them in the poo, and people have a worming program, which is lovely, and most people do now, the clients we have, but sometimes they'll need a different wormer. I'm a great believer in that. You keep them on one wormer all the time is no good, just change it. That's just what I believe. I don't know whether there's anything in fact there, but it's always worked for me. They've had a wormer, the owner will say, yeah, they had a wormer, they had it on, they can even give you the date and time, people that keep them sort of records. And I'll say to them, do you mind if I give them another one? And on occasion, not very often, but you'll get worms come out of them. So it's a different wormer that's been, required. Come up, baby, walk up. So this little fella now, it was a couple of days ago, and I'll get the tooth and show you. It's quite interesting to see if you've never seen one. And what I've done, I've popped it in the fridge in a bag. They don't smell very pleasant sometimes, because obviously as they're becoming loose, they get food underneath between the permanent tooth and the cap that goes on top. They get food underneath, and then you can be, obviously there's going to be a taste in the horse's mouth, and sometimes they'll go off their food. Sometimes you see the way they're chewing, which is normally it's the most obvious. So our mangers in the stables face the front wall, so you open a little flap and you put the haylage in there, so the horse is looking at you while it's eating, and you can see the horse maybe just be lifting its head up and looks like he's chewing a toffee, yeah, as opposed to haylage. Others will rub their actual muzzle, they're around their face, they'll rub it on the manger, and you think they've got an itch, yeah, fly or something like that. So, but it could be that they've just got just feeling, walk up, baby, all right, go on, walk on, good boy. No, walk, I said, he's a good boy. He's just seen his mates in the field here on the left-hand side, or he's heard them, and he said, I'll stop and have a chat with him while I'm here. But nice little pony this is, a lovely little pony, nice. I mean, all of them are nice, aren't they? It's just the life they've had that makes them what they are. You know, I don't mean that someone's necessarily been cruel to them or anything like that, but obviously there's a lot of rescue ponies. Come on, baby. Good boy. So we're out early morning this morning with this one. All we've had to do is just take him, not to do anything particular with him, teaching him, but I can just say to it like, whoa, stand still, stand still. So we're going back home. Stand. Walk. Whoa. Stand. Stand still. So we're going back home. He can see the flags up there in the arena. Obviously can smell we're going back home. There's a slight breeze in the air. He knows exactly where he is. But I've asked him to stand here, right? He's standing on a slack rein. He's not doing anything. He's just standing there. That's really good. That's what you want to see. Because I haven't hurt him. He's only got a soft bit of rubber in his mouth. And I've just asked him to stand. Walk. And he's just walked away quietly, as opposed to starting to want to trot and pull on. I'm home now. I will. And we've literally only been 3 miles this morning. Because basically it's just stretch his legs, taught a couple of things, standing still, backing up, just general. He's at that stage, you know, where we're just saying, okay, everything's, it's going over what we've done basically, and it's fine, everything's good. So, because he's ready to go home. So nice little pony. But having youngsters, you have this tooth thing going on all the time where they're shedding teeth. At 3-year-old, 4, 5 and on. So, you know, 5-year-old, the mouth's full, what we call, you know, it's got a full mouth of adult teeth. But people know about the front teeth, but often people seem quite surprised that they lose their back teeth, their molars. So we'll have a look now at the tooth that come out. So you can see there where it's removed, it's come out the front, and there's a little wolf tooth here, which we might have to look at. Now, I'm not a dentist and I'm certainly not a vet, but it's how that other one grows back in that might push that. It looks like a little wolf tooth, but it could be the main tooth that's come down the other one, and obviously it will grind off in time when it meets the one below, but that's really hard to say. So you can see where it's come off. So if we have a look at the tooth itself in a minute. So it's come away, it's been pushed away by the tooth growing above, and it's pushed it out. They get food between here and there, sometimes you get a smell. Find horse might be off his food a little bit, just not eating properly. Just wonder why he's left his hay, he hasn't eaten it, all that type of thing. So when it comes away, they can pass through them. They're on the ground, you don't find them when you're mucking out, very rarely. And some the front ones are small and they get bigger as they go. So, come here baby, good boy. So, come here darling, there's a good boy. That's it. That's right baby. He's a good boy. So, they're the thing, well, you can't really generalise it, but basically, if you had a loose tooth, if you think how you would be with your food, and the fact that you might be doing this, you sometimes see them doing, you know, with their tongue, they'll be trying to touch it because it's nearly out, it's loose, it's a little bit uncomfortable. So there's all sorts of signs, you know, when you've been around them as long as I have, you sort of pick up on. So that's basically it, but we'll show you the tooth. Yeah. Okay, so we've just looked in this pony's mouth, in Chaz's mouth. I've got the tooth here to show you. I don't know if you'll find this interesting. But this is the surface that has been wearing, yeah? This has been wearing, this is what the food has been ground against. So you can see here, this is the residue of the food that's been left on the tooth, yeah? And if I take that off, but if you look here, where it gets compacting. Can you see these little pieces here? So that's the compact bit. So this was up this way and facing down. Now a wolf tooth sits in the front of this one. So obviously when that was in the horse's head, so if I use my finger to be the gum, yeah, when you open the horse's mouth up to have a look, you think, oh, it's got a wolf tooth, but it hasn't. What's it's enabled it to do over the years is grow down because the other tooth wasn't far enough forward, or you could argue this one's not far enough back, to level that off. So you can see how much that's grown because it's not worn away. This piece here, how much it's grown. And if you look here on this one, this here is food that's jammed up in where it's come off. So in this pocket here is food residue in there, and this does smell. That's what can put them off their food. Here as well, you see this is old food here, dark in colour and has a smell. Not very pleasant. Here you can see the soft membrane here, look, tissue. All this is soft, this is actual tissue. You can still see the blood to a certain extent on there. Yeah. So that little bit there was holding this tooth. That tiny bit here and a little bit across here, look, can you see? But the front half is free and has been like it for a while to allow this food to come into this area here. Now you can get a problem where the food builds up that much that the tooth is forced down, 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 but obviously it can't go down too far because this edge is sitting against the next tooth. So in the horse's head, when you open his head up and you look inside, you can see this one, and then the next teeth will be going down here when the vet puts the jack in his mouth to hold it open when they do their teeth. But that there is that's old food, you know, and it smells, and obviously it affects the taste. And here, as I say, is old. This is where it's been held. This is the freshest part. This is loose membrane here, and here you can see it's still moving, part of the gum. So that's a premolar. But when it's in the horse's head, a wolf tooth sits there directly in front of this one. A lot of people don't know where a wolf tooth is in a horse, but that's where it is. A lot of people think it's the tushies at the front. It's nothing to do with that. This is just an empty piece here. You know, this between here and the foot and the front teeth coming around here. This is where your bit fits, and that's why a wolf tooth that fits there would be a problem. But when you open this up, and you've got to remember it's awkward for any vet, you know, any vet, anybody doing teeth would hold that up, and first of all they'd see this sticking down. They say, you know, I would say with inexperience, obviously not as much as a vet, I would say, oh, it looks like you've got a wolf tooth there. You put your finger in and feel it, it's quite sharp. But this is attached to this. A wolf tooth would look similar, possibly, but in front, so it would be like that.